Good morning, good morning, good morning, folks. Give it a second for folks to get in here. Happy Friday to you. I guess that's something you can say, right? I guess. Um, Good morning, Tech Lady. How are you? Hope everybody is doing okay this Friday morning. I know that I'm hella late. And if I'm being 100% transparent, I could not hit this go live button until I got myself grounded, which means I watered my garden, burned some sage, did some mantras, that sort of thing. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, no. So whatever that means. Uh, oh, I love that. Yay, Amy. That's amazing, right? Um, but no, like when I say this morning, I needed to take a minute to, that's what I needed to do. So we're here. Appreciate it, Jamie. Um, we're t-shirt twins today, aren't we? Oh, you got the Phoenix one? I love that. I love that. I love that. Yes, it is definitely important to touch grass. The closest I got to grass today was my garden, but that's okay so far. Um, so y'all know that it is Friday. So we do Black as Fuck Fridays around here, along with other things. So we will be reading from Michael Harriot's book, but we will also be talking about these two prompts. Do most Americans understand the difference between bigotry and racism? I think the answer to that is no. That's my personal opinion. And then how do we still see the impact of racial discrimination today? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. I also want to talk about, good morning, New Real Mama. I also want to talk about Senate Democrats launching a $40 million campaign in 10 states and things like that. They're investing in a ground game with, door knocking and volunteers and all of that. And we'll talk and see what you kind of think about that. I will give you my thoughts as well. It's going really fast. That's why I'm not even trying to say hi to everybody because it just is like, tick, 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 which I appreciate you all for doing all the things, the likes, the shares, all of those things. Good morning, Miss Natasha. So we're gonna kind of get going in all of those things. I actually want to let me ask you this: over on the YouTube, Facebook side of the world, can you all hear the music that I'm playing or no? I want to see if you guys can hear it or not, because that might be an issue. Good morning, Rhea. Good morning, Ala Shak Shak. What's up, Hospital Nurse Shani? I know that you guys can. I'm not sure about over here on the other side of the world. And that's, I just want to double check. I am wearing that today. Right shirt today. Right guess on the shirt today. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wonder if white people think that it's upsetting if they pop into the chat and use the N word. Do people think that, like, after hundreds of years of that bullshit in the United States of America, that's something that's upsetting or I'm going to be offended by? Yeah, I'm not. um, it was a different type of, it was a different type of project for the people meeting last night. Y'all know me. I just kind of go with my nudges and my guts. And cool. I wanted it to be low over there, to be honest, Conchita, because I don't want YouTube to flag it, right? So good morning, Ro. Appreciate you, Big Phone Wannabe. Good morning, Miss Wilma. Good to see you over there. I think I'm going to go ahead and I really want some background, but I don't want to risk upsetting the tube of the U. Good morning, Find Out. Okay, so listen, folks, it is Black as Fuck Fridays. Yeah, YouTube is very funny about that. So I need to grab my book real quick, y'all. I need to grab my book. Okay, actually, I'm grabbing a few books for today's subject matter. Good morning, Mac D Knife. Good to see you. All right, so listen, folks. You love Black as Fuck Fridays. I love that you love that. You thought today was Thursday. That's okay. It was recorded as always. I will tell you all that it was a different type of project for the people meeting. We did talk about establishing state captains, individuals that I can coordinate with to kind of help get things organized in states. Whether that's with regard to petitions, whether that's with regard to events, outings, information, graphics, those types of things. So I have about 13 folks that said that they were ready to do that, and and then the second part of it was really about some work. Y'all know that I said after the 2024 election that our journey forward as a country was going to include not just having to focus on like legislators and people running for office and policy, but also on us as human beings. Like, y'all, there is really something wrong with us that this is the world and the society that we have created, right? Like, we created the world that we live in, all of us together collectively, and we each contribute in some way or another, and we have to take ownership for that, right? Good morning, Lucid. And so, I said back then in 2024 that there was going to be this parallel journey for us as we kind of get ourselves together, right? And and that is about kind of doing the work for whatever it is that we got going on inside of us that makes us think that this is the type of society that we want to have. Where we have created a society that celebrates cruelty and that supports things like genocide and just mass incarceration and healthcare systems that don't work for everyone. Yes, Veronica, it will. I'm waiting on. I want Marnie and Chris to let me know for sure whether or not they want me to clip the end of it or not. They shared some personal things. Girl, no, I don't know that I have June 1st, but thank you, Carla, because I thought I typed July, but apparently I did not. Apparently I typed June. So, even though June doesn't have 31 days in it. That's how I thought I was typing July, is because June does not have 31 days in it, right? Thank you, Carla, though. I got you. I am going to fix and edit it right now, as we would say in Northeast Tennessee. I'm just kidding. Don't say that shit in Northeast Tennessee. So, like, funny story, when after I had gotten out of the military and moved back home and gotten married and all of that, my oldest daughter had been there for a minute, and she said something to me one day, and we were talking, and I said, right, and she goes, right, and I said, no, the word is right, and she said, that's what I said, right, and I said, no, baby, right has one syllable, and you do not slide into the word. That's not what we do. And and so it's always funny when I hear people and I hear the right, because no, that's not the word. But let me fix this graphic real quick for everybody, and then we'll be okay. How's that sound? That sound okay for y'all? It sounds okay for me. Why isn't this opening for me? Oh, there it goes. All right. It's going to look like I'm going away, but I'm really not. I'm just updating this graphic real quick. So give me a second, folks. Good morning, Julia J. Listen, folks, don't engage with the rage baiting in the comments. Whether they are real people, whether they are trolls, whether they are bots, I don't really care. Just don't engage with the rage baiting. You know that people are going to come in here. Accounts are going to show up. They're going to say things that are meant to stir your emotions up and to rage bait you. And my thing is, don't fall for the okie doke, please. Like real talk, do not fall for the okie doke. It's not helpful. Good morning, Joe. And it doesn't get us where we want to be in the conversation. Why is this not okay? So remove and add. There we go. Give me 1 second, folks. Am I all updated everywhere? I am all updated everywhere. We are good to go, folks. Okay, awesome. Right, Natasha, right? That's what it sounds like back home for me. Okay. So, good morning, Penny GF. Yeah, I know. I might get to that later. Lucid. I know we didn't get to it a lot yesterday. So here's what I'm going to do. For those of y'all who may be new to me, let me share with you how I run this space, and I'm going to open up the panel, and then we can get going on this discussion today. Okay. So listen, if you have never been in my room before, or if you haven't been in a long time and you need a refresher, here's the deal. So I have 4 things at the top, as you can see, that I ask for in this space. Number 1 is that you are respectful. Don't use slurs of any kind. Don't spam my comments. In other words, if you have something to say, please feel free to share it. Just don't say the same thing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Okay. It's not productive. It clogs the chat. It's not great for the algorithm. And then last but not least, do not type in all caps. And the reason for that is I have individuals in this community that are vision impaired. And those individuals, I have reserved all caps for those individuals and my moderators. So be respectful of people with disabilities and do not type in all caps. Okay. So in other words, just act like a decent human being, right? That's all you got to do. Good morning, Big Daddy D. Good morning, Susan. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the panel, and we can have a conversation. Okay. Maybe more than one. I don't know. I see this account all the time, but I don't know that it's like it's an account that I can't remember anymore. Give me 1 second. Live music. Good morning. How are you? Live music. I think this is what happens normally. I think they just accidentally tap their way into the request box. Okay, so as of right now, there is no one that is requesting to come up in the inbox. And usually that is what happens when I lay out kind of like the 4 things that I ask for in this space. People that are tending to come up and be assholes literally just won't. They'll remove themselves from the request, which I am not mad at. I'm okay with that, right? So I want to talk about this prompt and Black as Fuck Fridays, right? And why we decided to have this space. I think it's because there is a lot of information out there and understanding. Good morning, Macaroni. Tell Sue I said hello. That I just don't think that people are aware of. And I don't think that people engage in productive conversations around race and race discrimination in a way that is meaningful and beneficial and gives people grace and creates space for people to generate an understanding of exactly what it is and what it means and what it does not. Okay. So let me start by saying this idea that somehow becoming knowledgeable about racial discrimination in the United States of America, its history and its impact on present day relations. This idea that somehow that means that all white people should be ashamed of themselves or their heritage is not accurate. I don't know of a single Black person that wants white people to be ashamed of themselves or their history or their ancestry, right? As a matter of fact, I would offer to you that thanks be action, that if that is your perspective, oh, I'm so ashamed of my ancestors, you're centering yourself, which is a demonstration of part of the problem. Good morning, Gumps. Right? The need to add your emotions to history, when that history, you and your ancestors are not on the receiving end of the harm, and then somehow to make it about your feelings about it, that is you centering yourself. I don't know of any black and brown people that desire for people today to feel guilty about the things that were perpetrated in the history of this country. And I think that this narrative that they are spinning, and when I say they, let me tell you what I mean by that. When I say they, this is language that I hear from the Republican Party. This is language that I hear from the Speaker of the House. This is language that I hear from that side. So let me just double check with everybody. Everybody had said that it was going to be a Pally panel today. Everybody is still good with doing a Pally panel today. Thanks, Tisha. Yeah. So let me put a sticker up real quick so that everyone knows. There. All right. Yeah, no worries. And that's it. Carla, we do what we can. And that's that. And that's okay, Candy Kiss. Listen, if we did Abu Siraj earlier this week, we did Raja earlier this week. And so that's okay. You do what you can. And that's it. I mean, I know for me, I'm going to pass along some of the other things that were sent to me for people. I had people that sent me some things that I transferred into my account so that I could send them via the links. But for me, it's also back to school, right? So I don't have a lot of extra either. So it just kind of is what it is. Okay. Hey, Lisa. All right. So if you want to participate in this conversation around, do most Americans understand the difference between bigotry and racism? Or the question, how do we still see the impact of racial discrimination today? Or anything related to that, feel free to go ahead and request up. I'm going to remind you to be respectful, not use slurs, don't spam my comments, and don't type in all caps, and then we can engage in this conversation, okay? I don't see anybody right now, so that's okay. I thought I saw some folks, but I guess they left. So again, what I think is that there is this mistaken rhetoric that is being perpetrated to generate a feeling around a desire for people to be educated and accurately informed about the history of the United States of America when it comes to race and race relations, including the transatlantic slave trade, including forced sterilization, including Dr. Mims and the quote unquote father of gynecology who did horrific things, including Henrietta Lacks and all of those different types of things. And so I don't know that I understand or that I can even relate to the spin, right? And why the spin is necessary, other than it is to angel vibration. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Here, would you like to come to the panel? For those of you guys who can't see the comments on TikTok, so an account named the Angel Vibration said, "Nobody is feeling this topic," with an exclamation point. Talk about something, And then are you afraid to give a take? And I'm not sure what the give a take is. Give a take on what? And yeah, so the angel vibration, come to the panel and engage in the conversation. Are you scared to do that? Like you asked me if I'm scared to give a take. Are you scared to join the panel and have an actual discussion about your perspective? Because that's what it seems like. It seems like you just want to, run your mouth in the chat and not actually participate in the conversation. That's what it seems like. Good morning, Hazy. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. What would you like to share?
So I'm working through deconstruction myself. I'm a pasty YT woman. I see things that impact the Black community. I had the opportunity to live in the Deep South for 5 years, and coming from the North, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things and made me realize that my thought process was definitely more, I hate to say northern based, but coming from the areas I grew up in, they were railroad towns, mostly YT people. We had the token Black person. So I'm still working on this, but I see the prompt about the difference between bigotry and racism. And so I want to make sure I understand that. And the way I would define the two is racism is, for example, YT people against Black people. But bigotry is just ignorance and hate. And racism to me is also hate. But I want to understand so that way I can differentiate between the two and have a better sense of it.
Yeah, love that. Okay, so there is an educator that I love on this subject, and her name is Debbie Irving, Debby Irving, Irving. And when you go to her website, she's got all these little post-it notes across the top. And one of the post-it notes is, are prejudice, bigotry, and racism the same thing? And they are not, right? And
Right.
Here's what I love about the way that she's able to break it down so simply that it's amazing. And so prejudice is something that we all can have, right? We all can prejudge someone without knowing them, based on whatever our previous experiences are, not necessarily of that person. So every single person, regardless of the melanin level in your skin, can be prejudiced, right?
Absolutely.
There's no power structure and there's no like real ill will. You're just prejudging, but not having any hatred or ill feeling towards that person, right? So although prejudice can be negative, it doesn't mean that um, you don't see that person as equal. It doesn't mean that you believe anything should happen to them or not happen to them, that sort of thing. Bigotry, it's kind of like prejudice and a step up, right?
Okay.
And so bigotry does involve a hatred. Bigotry is a bigoted view is where you're okay having a hateful, more discriminatory view of someone based on the color of their skin, right? Or whatever it is.
So that would be bias versus like unconscious bias versus now you are taking that conscious bias and adding a component of hate to it.
Absolutely.
And still being okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And you're perfectly okay with that. You're a bigot and you know it. Like I know Black folk that are bigoted towards white people. Can't stand their asses. Don't want to talk about it. They just, right? And they can. The thing is that bigotry doesn't require a system or a power structure. Okay. Right. Racism is different. Racism is when there exists a power structure and a system where your beliefs of bigotry, right, can be ingrained into policy and laws in a way that elevates your particular race while discriminating against a different race. And in the United States of America, the only racial group that has had that ability is white people, right? Yeah. And so that is why when people hear folks say black people can't be racist, people get confused because they're like, wait a minute, I've seen some black folk be hateful as fuck towards white people. Yes, you have. And they do not collectively as a racial group have the ability to discriminate against white people while elevating and promoting black people using laws and policies and so forth and so on.
And that's where systemic then comes in because it's ingrained in the system.
Correct. You got it.
Okay. This is helpful. So I appreciate this because we do where I work, we do a lot of work on bias and making sure that you approach things without bias and checking your bias and like the microaggressions and all that good stuff.
So this is a great book. Have you ever seen it at your work, Blind Spot?
I have not.
So this book is amazing. It's called Blind Spot, The Hidden Biases of Good People.
Okay.
And what's incredible about this book, I actually had a neonatologist who recommended this book to me. And he's a perinatal, neonatal specialist. And what's amazing about this book is, think about when you're driving a car and you have a literal blind spot, right?
Yep.
We have a literal blind spot. And so this book does a phenomenal job of breaking down how bias shows up and the blind spots that we have, even the biases of quote unquote good people. And I think this is where the resistance comes up is people hear people say, hella, Raja, I see you. But it's where people hear people say, hey, that's racist. That thing you said is racist, or that thing you said is bigoted. And the defense mechanism that goes up through the roof is, I'm a good person. I'm not racist. I'm a good person. I'm not bigoted. And so what I love about this book is it's the hidden biases of good people who otherwise maybe don't know any better. They don't recognize, they don't know. There's a blind spot. And so I'm going to give you an example of what it does. So there's like a chart that it has in here that's fantastic. And so it talks about how language, we use certain, it's an implicit association test. Have you ever used those?
No.
They're so good. So there's an implicit racial bias test that they created, but they also have an implicit association test. And it's amazing about how you assign words to just subconsciously, right? So watch this. So the very first things that it does is it gives you a word and then it asks you if insects or pleasant words, flowers or unpleasant words, right? And so when you go through, you mark in the circle to the left for everything else. For insects, you mark to the circle on the left. For everything else, you do the circle at the right. And so like wasp goes under insects, poison goes under flowers or unpleasant words, tulip, flowers or unpleasant words. So notice flowers, we normally don't think of as being aligned with unpleasant words.
Right.
So it's harder for our brain to separate the flowers and the unpleasant words as, oh no, these go in the same group. Holy shit. Right?
Yeah.
And also to be able to put wasp and enjoy under insects or pleasant words, because normally we think of insects as unpleasant, right? And so it gives you these little trials to just so that you can see the implicit bias that you have, even though you don't know it. And then they take it a step further, and you can take these on the website too. Like it's in somewhere in my link tree, but I'll try to show it to you all again. But it does it like even more. And so it goes like orchid, gentle, rose, heaven, flea, damage. And you have to be able to go through and mark them and where they apply and where they don't. And then you do
Does it
that.
walk you through like how to apply?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And it actually shows you, like, you'll see how you struggle with going, oh shit, no, orchid is flowers. It just should go over there. But orchids are going to go the same place that unpleasant words do, right? And so
Okay.
your brain is like, oh, orchids, that's a pleasant word. Oh no, wait, orchids are flowers, so they go with the unpleasant words. And so it's
Okay.
showing you how your brain implicitly has an association that it makes with pleasant things versus unpleasant things and the words, right? And so then after it shows you that with something as simple as flowers and insects and unpleasant words and pleasant words, then it shows you how to do that with people.
Oh, okay.
And whether they're girls or boys or black or white and the expressions on their faces. And so then you do pleasant or African American faces and then unpleasant or European American faces.
Okay.
And now you're watching in real time how your implicit association um, associates good things with European American faces because that's
Okay.
the society around you. And so it's really this, as you can see, I've like kind of bookmarked it and all of that, but it's
No, I
incredible.
love that.
So if you do that kind of work, and I want to say it's in the back of it. So it lists a ton of resources. And then it also tells you the website for all of the implicit association tests that they have. There's one, we did one on, do y'all remember when we did, so for my subscribers, we were going over this book through book club. And on one of our book club meetings, we actually took the political bias, implicit bias test. And so it shows you whether you have a bias towards Republican or Democrat or whatever. And people were surprised. That was fun. Yeah, we need to do it again. But anyway, yeah. So hopefully I answered your question and gave you a great resource.
No, but this has been a good conversation. Like I think a lot of this, like having lived in Louisiana, it really made me question things because I thought I knew poor and then I learned what poor really was living in the South area. And so it really made me start questioning and looking at people differently and working with different, like there was so much diversity there that when we moved back north, I was like, these aren't my people anymore. Like I don't like this, like pasty white group. I walk into a restaurant and it's all white people and I'm like, where are my people?
Yeah.
And then I eat the food and I'm like, there's no seasoning. And I know those are like basic things, but
yeah,
I like, it was just funny coming from the South back to the North, how that worked. But just meeting the different diversity and seeing different people. And, you know, even, so we lived outside of New Orleans, but New Orleans itself, looking at the divides within it, it was interesting to see how like New Orleans East gets a bad rap because there's a higher level of crime.
Yeah.
But you go to the Garden District and everyone's like, oh, well, it's New Orleans East. You don't want to drive through there. You don't want to stop. You don't want to do this. And it's like, okay, but I still have to, like one way or another.
Right.
I'm still going to respect the people that live there. I'm still going to stop if somebody needs help because that's just who I am. But it was interesting to see that. And so it really made me start questioning it. And so I pushed for some classes through our company just to understand more because they offered them, but they didn't offer them unless you were in management. And I was like, no, I want to take these. Like, I need to learn more about this to make myself better. And then at one point I did get called out for racism and I learned my lesson and I was like, okay, you know, and that's when I realized that it's not up for other people of different races to educate me about their issues. I need to really dig in and educate myself on it so that way I can do better because it may be a triggering experience for somebody to try and educate me as a white person on something that they've experienced. And so it's really just been a big journey. So this has been helpful. I also want to say I appreciate what you did Wednesday with the Roger Stone thing. I sat through that and I actually pulled my husband in to sit through it because I love him to death, but he definitely has the white man mentality of I don't understand why like this and I don't get this but he's starting to look at things like how do I help a woman in a meeting who maybe isn't being heard? Or how do I, like, do I help them even if they're not asking for help? How do I, like, all those things? So he's starting to process it. And so when he saw this, he's like, holy shit, I didn't realize this was happening. And so it's really been good. We've been having some really good conversations with our daughter, who is she's transgender. And so just things like that, like trying to help her with it. Living in Ohio, it's a horrible state for her.
Yeah.
But right now that's where we are. We left Louisiana because of the laws and then walked into Ohio, which didn't have laws at the time when we moved. And then next thing you know, it was like, great.
Right.
But I just want to say thank you for what you're doing. I listen to your conversations. I know you try to help people where you can. I know you've helped me listening to your conversations.
I appreciate that.
So just keep up the good fight, and I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, and right back at you. So every bit of this is a two-way street, folks. So I appreciate everybody that shows up, that does the work, and that continues to show up even in the difficult conversations and the difficult moments and the parts where they don't get it. Kudos to you for fighting for something and saying, no, this is important. I want to be able to understand it better. Louisiana is definitely a very, very diverse place, and there's a lot of history there that is different from the rest of the country as well, right? When it comes to racial issues and things like that. So it's it's a good place to figure some shit out, if you will. It's a great place. It's a great place also if you want to
we made some really good friends that were in the Black community and the Cajun community. They had some Creole in them. And I mean, it was so different being there than in the North, because in the North we get a storm and it's like, good luck, go out, cut your own damn tree down and move on.
Yeah.
But in the South, our neighbor was there and they were helping, and they're like, we got you and we're going to help. And once we saw that, it just, the sense of community there is so different. Like, I miss it. And if it wasn't for the fact that the legislation there, we would still be there.
Yeah.
My husband and I actually have talked about, once our daughter's old enough to move out and go to school, and we know she's safe, about moving back, because you just don't get that in this state. It's like, screw you, I don't care, and move on. And like, that's been really hard for us, because down there we were welcomed into so many people's homes of so many diverse backgrounds.
Yeah.
And we absolutely loved it. And like, I could share experiences, but I don't want to take up too much time. But I miss it so much, and I appreciate the Black community so much more now that I actually got to be around them. And just, whereas before we didn't have that.
Yeah.
So it just really changed my view.
So what you're describing is what I keep talking about, and it's one of the reasons for Project for the People, is when we build connection with each other, we create understanding. And that understanding bridges gaps, and it holds space even in places where we don't necessarily agree, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's one of the reasons why I keep talking about, like, we keep thinking about, yes, it is about getting voters engaged, and it is about getting new candidates, and it is about getting, policy and laws and issues, and it is. And at the core of all of that is creating connection and understanding in our communities through conversations that can be really, really challenging or difficult or uncomfortable even. But those
Absolutely.
Conversations are what actually changes at our core, and
Yes.
And connect with each other. Because once we do that, you don't have to work as hard on getting somebody to understand the policy. You don't have to work as hard to get somebody to understand. If they understand you as an individual, and you've created that relationship and built that connection, then it more easily translates into their political ideology and their political issues and how they see other people. But without that connection and without that transparency and authenticity, then you lose that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's been good to see that, and to see the different legislation that came out. One example that comes to mind is the Crown laws. I think that's what they're called. Correct me if I'm wrong, with different hairstyles for different cultures.
Yes.
Like I sat through, so we have ERGs at work, and we have one called Black. And I sat through some of the sessions there, and they were talking about how white people walk up to Black people and like pet their hair. And I'm like, what? Like, who in their right mind would do that? Like, why would you do that? Like, if someone did that to me, I'd slap them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't imagine doing that. Like, it's so, yeah, like that's so wrong. And so when I think about that and I see a Black person with beautiful hair, I'm always like, I love your hair. Like, because I do. And I'm like, there's no reason to do that to somebody. Like, you're making them feel less than by doing that. And you shouldn't do that. Like, that just, it just bothered me so bad that someone had the audacity to go and do this. And when I talked to people that I was actually working with, that I had developed friendships with, I'm like, do people really like do that? Like, I'm hearing this through this group, and they were like, yeah, they've done it. And I'm like, oh my God, like if somebody does that to you, let me know, because I'm going to slap them. Like that would just piss me off.
Yeah, no, that's a thing. For sure.
It drove me bonkers.
Yeah, there's so much with it. And kudos to you for kind of, now, your little spam and Cash App ass is about to be muted in here. What are you doing? But no, it is a thing. And it's incredibly important that people become aware. It's I related to when I went to Standing Rock, and the we were kind of, everybody was given we went to orientation. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this or not.
No.
Okay, so my oldest daughter and I went to Standing Rock in December of 2016, and when we went to Standing Rock, before you could go and do anything, the very next morning you go to this orientation, and they did it so beautifully. So they had a white one up there, they had a woman of color up there, they also had an elder up there, and then they also had a member of the LGBTQIA community up there, right? And so they were all there together, and each of them took a segment of the orientation to read from, right? And what they made sure to do was the person reading it would have matched the demographics of a person that would have committed the offense, if you will, right? So it was, and so one of the things and they pointed that out, right? They talked about, for example, they mentioned don't touch a Native American woman's hair, right? Don't go reaching for the fucking braids. They talked about don't approach. So they didn't have the elder say this. So follow me. They had someone else say this. Don't approach an elder and ask questions and ask for advice or whatever if you don't have an offering, right? If you don't have some tobacco, if you don't have some whatever. But what they did was they wanted to make sure that the person delivering the message would look like and belong to the group of the people that would be committing the offense, because that way it's better received.
Oh, I like that.
Right? You police your own. And so this is one of the things that I say in this space all the time, is that if you belong to the group that's doing the discrimination, that can do the oppressing, then it is your responsibility, right, to call those out and get your people. So
Absolutely.
For me, I'm Black, I'm hetero, and I'm cis, right? Within the Black community, there's a shit ton of homophobia and transphobia.
Yep.
So guess what I regularly do? I call out Black folk for transphobia and homophobia, because I belong to that community. And that is why I say racism is the responsibility of white people to handle. Homophobia and transphobia is the responsibility of the hetero cis community to handle. There's all of these different things. And so if you want to know if it's your responsibility, do you belong to the group? Men, you are responsible for getting rid of and diminishing sexism and misogyny. That's
Absolutely.
yours, because if women could get rid of it, it would already be gone.
And that's what I tell my husband. And even it was interesting because after the Roe v. Wade was overturned, he said, well, what can I do? And I was like, it's not in that situation, it wasn't necessarily his place to do anything. It was his place to elevate the voice of women. And I said, that's really what you need to do. Women need to tell their story, but you need to elevate the voice. And he was like, okay, I can do that. But like, I have to give him so much kudos because he is like really trying. And it's funny because he comes home and he'll ask me questions like, should I have done this? Should I not have done this? And I'm like, hey, at least you're trying. Like, there are a lot of people out there not trying, but at least he's trying.
Yeah.
And even like having a child in the LGBTQ community, it's sad what they're doing to the kids. It's sad what they're doing to the adults. I was so excited because we found a camp for her where it's all gender non-conforming kids, which is super exciting. She's actually there this week. And she was so tickled pink, but the way they handle it, it was truly like every kid has to have a meeting with them. Every kid has to be gender nonconforming. All of their counselors are gender nonconforming. Just really meeting the needs of the kids and where the kids are. I feel like we need that for some other people in the world, just so that way they can learn. But I will leave it on that note. I need to actually go get ready for an appointment. I want to say thank you all for the gifts. Please save them for the folks on the Pally panel. I don't need them. But thank you. I appreciate it. And just thank you for the time and helping me understand better.
Appreciate you. Thank you much, Hazy. Tell your hubby we said go him.
Okay, will do.
All right. Okay. Bye. And so you all, this is part of it. It's not always about getting it right. It's not getting it right. It's about putting in the effort and learning. And what I know and what I have witnessed throughout the various communities is that if you are attempting to get it right and you get it wrong, most of the time, not all the times, but most of the time, you get grace for the effort. You get grace for trying, and you get grace for doing the work, right? And that is what we need more of in order to further the conversations that we have, right? The only thing that I would offer Hazy is it is not necessary to diminish or demean your whiteness to elevate Blackness. So there's no need to call yourself a pasty white girl. You're a white girl. That's okay. White can be beautiful too, right? So I just want to offer that as well for folks. You do not have to diminish your whiteness in order to demonstrate that you are actively engaged in deconstructing. Okay, so that'd be my one little piece to offer you. I look refreshed. I'll tell you why, Tracy, and I'll tell you how. I was late going live this morning because I took the time before I did anything else to I took a long hot shower, finished with cold water, and then got myself together and lit some sage and opened my windows and watered my garden and walked through my house and just kind of spoke over my space and over myself and over my grandkids and just kind of level set. There was some yucky energy, and I've been feeling it for a couple of days. And I've just been pushing it to the side because I need to work. I've just been pushing it to the side because I need to run errands. I've just been pushing it to the side. And this morning I was like, I can't push it to the side because it's impacting everything. So everything else just had to wait until I took care of that this morning. And so, yeah, that's all it is. I haven't even, listen, I ran a comb through my hair, but that's it. And I put a bandana on it and that's it. Yeah, I sage my space, Scott. And so sometimes I do Palo Santo, and then other times I do. Yeah, it's still struggling a little bit, Wawa. But so today, I'm gonna take my leftover eggshells and some banana peels and things like that, and blend them up in the blender. And then I'm gonna kind of put them in the garden and toss the soil around and add a little bit of goodness into it as well. Yep, exactly, Shauna, smudging. Yep. So, yep, that's what I had to do this morning. I had to do that. Um, um, so, Mike, when they say Israel will end the occupation if Hamas disarms, I don't believe that, and the reason why I don't believe that is because Israel was illegally occupying before Hamas was created, right? Israel, Israel's illegal occupation of Palestine, whether that is Hamas or the West Bank, whether that's Gaza or the West Bank, has nothing to do with Hamas. Israel is illegally occupying the West Bank, and the West Bank doesn't have Hamas. The governing authority in the West Bank is the Palestinian Authority. So when Israel says that those things are related, they're not in any way, shape, or form. And so I just believe it's important to make that distinction. Okay, so before I bring up some more folks to the panel, I'm going to remind everybody of the 4 things that I ask for in this space. Be respectful, don't use slurs, don't spam my comments, and don't type in all caps. All caps are reserved for my folks that are vision impaired and my moderators. Okay, that's it. As long as you can do that, we can have dialogue. We can even have discourse. It's just like that's the reality, and that's what I require. If I bring you up to this panel, put yourself on mute until I get to you, and don't talk over me. Okay? Put yourself on mute until I get to you. All right? What's up, Rebecca? Dare, you had requested, I accepted, but it doesn't show that it brought you up. There you go. It took a minute for you to connect, I guess. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How old are you for TikTok purposes?
What was that? Oh my god.
I said, how old are you for TikTok purposes?
I'm 22.
You're 22? Okay.
Yes.
And what would you like to say towards the prompt?
Yeah, most Americans do. They know the difference between racism and bigotry. They just don't care. And how do we still see the impact of racial discrimination today? I would say perhaps. I mean, we see racism in Chicago every day. The violence. I'm in Chicago. The black on black crime is increasing every day. Sounds like the 4th of July every night. You know.
So I'm going to remind everybody that you all know what rage baiting sounds like.
No, I'm not, sir.
Dare, I'm not speaking to you. I'm actually speaking to the chat. Okay. Thanks. So chat, you all know that we don't engage in rage baiting. And I really, really hope that you all are not letting a narrative that you hear all the time get you to respond to something, right? So just be clear. So I'm aware, Dare, I'm still not speaking to you. So please don't interrupt. Remember, I asked you that before I brought you to the panel.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, appreciate that. My name is Dani, by the way.
Okay, Dani.
Thank you. Yeah, you can use my name or not at all.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Sorry, Dani.
Okay. You have a great day. I told y'all I'm not doing it. This is nothing but someone who trolls the internet, trying to be an asshole and trying to make someone angry. That's literally what they hope to accomplish. And that is just a low IQ individual. That's all that is. Right, funny face, and not very good at it at all. Not very good at it at all. I've seen them before, Carla. The only reason I remember is because of the picture. So let me just be clear, folks, right? Right, exactly, Cam. So listen, when someone uses the words, especially on this app, on TikTok, when somebody brings up to me Chicago, I already know where they're going. When somebody brings up Chicago and then they bring up black on black crime, I already know where they're going. Like, there should be nothing surprising about that, and it shouldn't bother you. I would hope that it doesn't bother you, because they know it's bullshit and they know it's a bullshit talking point. And it's not difficult, you all, to know that crime has been going down and is reduced in Chicago year after year after year. Same thing in New York. Same thing in New York. Some of the most unsafe states in this country are actually red states and red cities. And guess what? It's not because they're red. It's not because they're red. Just like Democratic cities, it's not because they're blue. It's not. It's because of economic issues that exist in those communities for different reasons. Right? Good morning, Nikki B. So when you understand what the drivers of crime are and what the drivers of violent crime are, then you can get past the political partisan rhetoric that doesn't do anyone any good. Appreciate you, Jarhead. Right? And so when someone is serious about talking about crime, then they don't talk about race. They don't. When people are serious about talking about crime, they talk about the root causes that lead to crime, whether that's property crime or whether that is violent crime. And so when people start to talk about crime and they bring up race, then I know they're not serious. Good morning, Megan. How are you? You're having trouble loading all the way in. We'll see if it times out or if you get loaded in. Megan, you might need to try to say something to get loaded all the way in. Yep, that's not working. For whatever reason, it's not working. Okay, folks. So you thought government used to investigate before legislating. My sound, Christine, shouldn't be. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. All right. Okay, awesome. All right. So I want to just go over a couple of headlines before I get into the book. Yep, we are reading today, Veronica. We are. So I want to go over just a couple of headlines to give everybody kind of like just some highlights for where we are. Okay. It's a lot. So the reporting says that Hamas has agreed to a draft peace deal on Gaza um, under a roadmap that would see it disarm in phases that would be matched by Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. I'm going to share with you my perspective about this. I just alluded to it a moment ago. The Palestinian group also says that implementation of the second phase of the Gaza ceasefire deal is dependent upon Israel's full implementation of the first phase, including the withdrawal of all troops and the cessation of attacks. So the reason why I am not going to make a big deal out of this is because I don't believe it's any more authentic than the ceasefire that was negotiated and agreed to on October 10th of 2025. I don't believe that Israel is going to withdraw from Gaza. I don't believe that Israel is going to stop attacking Gaza because it hasn't. And so this is the same way that I felt about all of the various agreements to deals with Iran. Tomorrow is August. We have now been in a war with Iran since the end of February. So if we don't even count February, if we just say March, April, May, June, July, August, we are in the 6th month of a war with Iran that wasn't supposed to A, be a war, and B, was supposed to be over just like that. Right? And all of these, oh, we're getting very far. Oh, there's going to be an agreement. Oh, they're begging us for a peace deal. None of those things have proven to be true. And that's the same way I look at this. Number one, it's a draft peace deal. It doesn't even come into play until Israel withdraws all of its troops from Gaza and stops attacking Gaza, which has not happened. And I do not believe will voluntarily happen on their own. I think that in order for Israel to withdraw from Gaza, it is going to take actions from the member states of the UN. It's going to have to take the United States of America to stop funding Israel. It is going to require sanctions and impositions and those types of things in order for Israel to actually understand that their behavior is not acceptable. The problem with that is, I believe that too many countries are okay with Israel's behavior. So I don't know how quickly that's going to change. Appreciate it, Alex, but that's kind of my thought. Yeah, just throwing that out there. Israeli forces just carried out a large detonation in Kfar Tebnit in the southern Lebanon. It is reportedly generating like earthquake level. How do I want to call it? That's how significant the impact is. And so they have vibrations. Thank you. Answers for you. Did you see me doing this? I'm doing this, but couldn't think of the name. So again, even though there's supposedly a ceasefire in Lebanon, Israel continues to occupy southern Lebanon and continues to attack and set off explosions. And so that's a huge thing that is happening today. Good morning, Patrice Girl. The UK Foreign Secretary welcomes Hamas's disarmament. I think, again, this is just political grandstanding because there is no disarmament. They're not. So listen, it is going to be. So this is what he said. Miliband said that the focus must now be to, quote, implement the 20-point plan in full, which he said includes, quote unquote, the withdrawal of the Israeli army from Gaza and respect for the ceasefire by all parties. He said that conditions for the people in Gaza remain appalling, and he stressed that Israel must, quote, immediately end the unacceptable restrictions on aid so that more food, medicine, and support can reach those who need it. Again, I don't really give a shit about this statement because these are the same statements that people have been saying in the UK and around the world for almost 3 years. So to continue to say, oh, Israel must immediately end the unacceptable restrictions on aid, but then not take any action to force Israel to end the unacceptable restrictions on aid is just grandstanding. And I'm just not here for it. And I'm a little over it. So I don't read anything into that. And it doesn't mean anything to me. So Israeli officials have said, imagine this, that the country will not withdraw behind the so-called yellow line before Hamas disarms. And Hamas has said, we're not disarming until you withdraw. So there you go. And I think that's where we're going to be. And I think the thing that is important that is not talked about enough, and this distinction is not made enough, good morning, Ervet, is that Israel isn't occupying places in Palestine because of Hamas. Morning, Dolphin. Israel is doing what Israel does. Hamas is not in the West Bank. I'm going to repeat that. Hamas is not in the West Bank. So when people try to justify the behavior of Israel by blaming Hamas, your immediate response can be, and I believe maybe should be, that Hamas is not in the West Bank. So please explain that to me. You can't. You can't explain the behavior of Israeli settlers and the IDF in West Bank. You can't. They are not only illegally occupying parts of the West Bank, but literally so there's A, B, and C, the sections of the West Bank. And Israel is now saying they're going to set up military bases in Section A that is supposed to be completely under the control of the Palestinian Authority. They're supposed to be nowhere in it. And until European countries, Western countries, take actions against the state of Israel in the form of sanctions, you need a force for this. You need a source. Oh, that's easy. No, Mike. I mean, it's literally, you can go to the UN. Like you can literally Google that. Hamas. Okay, so let me back up. Hamas was created in 1988. Okay. And then there was a presidential election. I mean, not a president. There was an election for a governing body in Gaza. Okay. And Hamas ran in 2008 against the Palestinian Authority. Up until that time, the Palestinian Authority was the governing body over Gaza and the West Bank. And then in 2008, Hamas won the election against the Palestinian Authority. So now the Palestinian Authority is the governing body in the West Bank, and Hamas is the governing body in Gaza. Hamas is not just these militant terrorists, whatever. There's different parts of Hamas, and a lot of it has to do with the governing. It's the governing of the community. Okay, so now another thing that you can easily look up and reference, right? Through Qatar, they are a resistance group, but through Qatar, right? Benjamin Netanyahu actually helped fund and support the creation of Hamas. Why? Why would Bibi Netanyahu help fund and support the creation of Hamas so that they could win the election against the Palestinian Authority? Because he needed a terrorist organization, quote unquote, to fight. He needed a reason and they became the reason. So listen, if the Palestinian Authority had maintained its governmental position in Gaza and the West Bank, they are largely seen and recognized throughout the world as a rational governing body. They are seen as a body that is capable of setting up the infrastructure necessary for an independent state. And Bibi Netanyahu did not want the rest of the world to see the possibility for a legitimate, independent, freestanding state in Palestine. So in order to ensure that that did not occur, right, he helped Hamas. Resources for this are in my link tree. You can also just Google Netanyahu helped fund Hamas, and you will find a ton of resources out there that will show you the documentation that backs that up. Right? So you might think of it as like the same way the United States of America destabilizes countries in order for us to steal their resources and for us to continue to get what we want from them. That is the same thing that has occurred there. Okay. All right. What's happening in the West Bank, really quick, is horrific. And I'm just going to give you some of the top bullet points coming out of the West Bank right now. Israeli forces have arrested a number of Palestinians who confronted a settler attack on the outskirts of the village Tal, which is southwest of Nablus. Israeli settlers set fire to guard rooms in the quarries southwest of Deir Abu Masha in the Ramallah district. Dozens of settlers stormed an archaeological site in the town of Sinjil, northeast of Ramallah. A settler set fire to olive groves in the village of Al-Mania, which is southeast of Bethlehem, before fleeing the scene. 10 Palestinians, including 4 children, were injured during an attack by settlers and Israeli forces on the Junid neighborhood west of Nablus. A Palestinian man was shot by settlers east of Hebron after attempting to defend a farmer who was being attacked by settlers near the Asfar settlement east of the town of Ash Shuyuk. Israeli forces stormed the Solomon's Pools tourist area, which is south of Bethlehem. And the Israeli military also launched a widespread campaign of raids and arrests, targeting towns and villages around Nablus, Tuklarem, Bethlehem, Hebron, Jerusalem, Salfit, and Ramallah. Again, I reiterate, Hamas is not in the West Bank. If they were, that shit from them settlers would not be happening. So, and this part's important. This part's important. So, how many of you all know who Ben Gvir is? Ben Gvir is the Israeli National Security Minister. He is an extreme far-right individual. He is, in my opinion, based on the things that he has said, is a horrific individual. And I'm going to share with you what he has said about this draft peace deal for Gaza. Are you ready? Here's what it says. Ben Gvir says that the draft peace deal is, quote unquote, unacceptable to Israel. Yep, he's a war criminal. An agreement to, quote unquote, stop the assassinations of Hamas members is quote unquote tantamount to agreeing to Hamas organizing for the next massacre. He posted this on X, by the way. Okay. He went on to say, quote, listen to this. I'm quoting Ben Gavir. I'm quoting him. Quote, the assassinations in Gaza must continue. The encouragement of immigration must happen. Israel must win. End quote. So I'm going to repeat that because I'm reading Ben Gavir. These are his words. This is a quote. Quote, the assassinations in Gaza must continue. The encouragement of immigration must happen. Israel must win. End quote. He goes on to say, quote, the fact that the prime minister chooses not to present the agreement to the Israeli public raises major question marks as to whether Israel is a partner in it or whether an agreement was once again forced upon Israel without its involvement. I know, I saw. Listen, guys, I do not care about someone in the chat saying dumb shit. If that individual does not have the fortitude to request up and join this panel and engage in a conversation with me, I give zero fucks about the things that they type as they hide behind their keyboard, probably in their mother's basement. I don't care. Little people with baby carrot energy don't impress me, nor do they distract me. And I hope that they don't distract you. Okay. A couple of hours ago, sounds good, Kellyanne. An Israeli airstrike on Salah al-Din Street in central Gaza has killed at least one Palestinian, according to the medics at the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital. The strike occurred hours after the Gaza Board of Peace announced the disarmament agreement, the draft disarmament agreement. Israel's military has detained more than 200 people and confiscated cash in the occupied West Bank over the last week. They were, this is what they say. They say that they were wanted on suspicions of crime. But whatever, man. And I'm looking just to see if there's anything else that is worth noting from this. Yeah, no. Okay. So those particular highlights were from Al Jazeera. I don't know if Sandy's in here or not. I'm actually also now looking at Ground News this morning to give you a couple of different things to hear about. Okay. Trump has now said that he might pull Todd Blanche's nomination until the dissenting senators leave office. So what does that mean? So we know that Senator Cornyn and Tom Tillis are going to be leaving office come 2027. And so he is saying that he might withdraw the nomination until those senators are gone, and he believes he will have the votes to move it forward. Now, here's what you can do. Here's what you can do if you do not believe that Todd Blanche should be confirmed and you want to ensure that. Then you make sure that there is a progressive majority in the Senate after these midterms so that it doesn't matter if those Republican senators are leaving and are outside of their terms and all of that. It means that he still doesn't get confirmed. That is how. So I want to say something. I would love to just see where you all are on this. How many of you all do not CWY? Please don't put links in the chat. When you put links in the chat, it actually dings the algorithm. Please don't do that. Okay, so how many of you all believe that there are members of the current administration and the cabinet that are either not qualified for the job, yeah, it can be very important, but don't put the links in the chat. It literally hurts my life and you will get me dinged. So please don't do that. Thanks. Okay, so if you believe that those individuals are not qualified for the positions, and one of the reasons, so let me just say this to you all. One of the reasons that I blame the GOP Congress even more than I blame the president for the things that are happening in this administration is because the Senate has the power and had the power to prevent these things from happening. The Senate, if it had upheld its duty to the Constitution, could have prevented all of this from happening. The Senate is the problem, exactly, which. So for me, that's when I take a look at these 33 Senate seats that are up and available this year. When you say both chambers are, what do you mean? The reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, Dolphin, is because the Senate is who does confirmation hearings, and only the Senate. It is only the Senate, but it is only the Senate that does confirmation hearings. The House does not. Yeah, so when I'm speaking, good morning, Nance, when I'm speaking about the issue with the Senate, it is because so does everybody know that the Constitution actually outlines the confirmation process for the members of the cabinet? So let me show you guys. Give me 1 second. So Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution, okay, it requires that the president obtains the advice and the consent of the Senate when appointing all principal officers. And so that includes ambassadors, Supreme Court justices, cabinet members, and any other key public officers. And so that means that the issues that we currently have with this administration, whether that's RFK Jr., whether that's Dr. Oz, whether that is Todd Blanche, whether that's Linda McMahon, Stephen Miller, Emile Bove, Drew Ensign, all of those people and more, the issues come back to the Senate. Yep, Hegseth, yes. It all comes back to the Senate, because if the Senate was doing their due diligence, right, according to the Constitution and to the process that the Senate is supposed to go by, right, the committee is supposed to check background facts. They're supposed to ask the nominee the questions, and then based on the answers to those questions, determine what is in the best interest of the country, not a presidential candidate's agenda. not a president's agenda. This is not about furthering the agenda of a particular administration or a particular group of organizations. And when you have a Senate that is compromised, the way that this Senate is, the way that this GOP Senate is, we have a real problem. The Senate committee takes the vote. And if the Senate doesn't confirm that nominee, if that committee doesn't confirm that nominee, it doesn't get sent to the rest of Congress for a final vote. And I think it's crazy that all you need is a simple majority. I missed this statement. So give me 1 second, y'all. Can I get a mod announcement real quick while I get some ice and water real quick? Be right back. I just need ice and water. That would be amazing. Red Hot, you got me? Look at all the issues loading people in today. It's okay, Carla. Don't worry about it. What in the absolute hell? Okay, so here's what we're going to do because she ain't loading in. So here's what we're going to do is I am going to keep talking while I go into this kitchen and I get my ice and my water, okay? So just hang tight. You'll still be able to hear me even though you can't see me because I need the water. All right? So again, the reason why I'm talking about the Senate in this way and the reason why I think you hear this language coming out of the DSA about the Senate is because the Senate has failed to do its job as outlined by the Constitution in a nonpartisan way based on what is in the best interest for the majority of Americans. And what's crazy to me is we have entered this world, we have entered this timeline where we are bypassing what is in the best interest for the people entirely for someone's specific agenda. And that's crazy to me, right? And if you are someone that considers yourself to be conservative or Republican or a Trump supporter or a supporter of this administration, I would love to have this conversation with you. Explain it to me. Explain it to me how you're okay with having a Congress be complicit to whatever the agenda is of a particular administration, even when those policies negatively impact the majority of working class people. That's a conversation that I really want to have. And what's crazy, what's really wild is I'm on this app and I go into other people's lives and I see all kinds of quote unquote opposition that will get up and talk about things, but they don't come in this space. They don't get on this panel. They don't have a conversation with me about those issues rooted in fact and actual policy. And I don't know why not. Right? You don't see for a minute there, we had a few FBA kind of tip their toes in, and then they figured out these were not the waters they wanted to be in, right? Every now and again, you might get a Trump supporter, but not anybody that's interested in a real conversation. Nope. So I don't know that listen, I don't believe it's because I'm quote unquote too smart for them. What I believe is that they aren't sincere in their beliefs. That's what I believe. I believe that deep down, they don't believe the thing that they are saying. somebody looked like you were requesting, but I don't see you. Right? You're right. I don't put up with the bullshit. You're right. I don't. I also placing facts on the table just triggers insults. So what does that mean for us as a whole? Because sometimes I go into those other spaces specifically for the opportunity to address some of these individuals that won't come in this space. Right? They want people who don't align with them to be punished. And some people do, right? And some people do. I don't even know that they are voting for themselves. Answers for you. I don't know that I believe that, because many of them are also being negatively impacted by the policies and by the things that this administration is doing. And so I don't know that I even believe that as well. You know what I mean? Good afternoon, King T'Challa. How are you? T'Challa, did you mean to request up? Nope. Got you. Just a very quiet, nope. So listen, Krabs, when you say things like, quote, Congress is bought off or blackmailed or threatened, I think that that's your speculation. I don't think there's any evidence of that. Right? You were getting out of the car? No worries. But you know what I'm saying? I don't believe there's no evidence of that to be so. Here's what I honestly believe. I believe the issues that have compromised Congress are built on, here's the foundation of those things, okay? The things that have compromised Congress, first and foremost, is greed and the desire to stay in a position of power. Right? Greed and the desire to stay in a position of power. And then that greed and the desire to stay in a position of power is built upon and rests on the other isms that they participate in, the other ideologies that they hold, right? So I think for some people in Congress, it is absolutely extreme capitalism that is the driver for them to support this administration. And I think that their underlying prejudice, their underlying bigotry, what's up, Bertie? Their underlying Christian nationalism, their underlying white supremacy, their underlying Christian Zionism gives them the ideology to support that agenda. Right? So the problem that we have in Congress is there are too many members of Congress that still we have too many Dixiecrats. We have too many Christian nationalists. We have too many Christian Zionists. We have too many white supremacists. We have too many white nationalists. We have too many of those individuals in Congress. And those ideologies driven by greed and a desire to stay in proximity to power, yep, and misogynists, right? That is what is allowing them to be compromised. And that is why they must go. And that is also why we need to make sure that legislation like Hawaii's SB 2040-71 gets taken from just one state to as many states across the country as possible on a state and local level, but also raised and elevated to apply to federal elections as part of federal law. That's it. Like that is one huge step forward in rectifying the diminishment for the stature of Congress. Like there used to be a time when members of Congress, what is this Hawaii legislation? Glad you asked, Mike. And Bertie, feel free to request up if you want to. So Hawaii's bill, HB 2471. Yeah, Linda, we got there the other day. Tink, they don't mean the same thing. And give me a second and we can talk about that. Okay, so HB 2471 is a significant piece of legislation that was passed by Hawaii this year and signed into law. If you have already signed up for Project for the People, you can check the Google Drive and it's under potential legislations. And the reason why it's under potential legislations is because I've included a template for you to be able to collect signatures in your local community to advocate for that same law to be passed in your state. It already exists in Hawaii. And the bill is SB 2471. It was signed into law, and it's addressing the powers of quote unquote artificial persons. So what does that mean? Why is the language done that way? The language is done that way because Citizens United, the law that yes, 100%, Brady. So Citizens United is the court case that the Supreme Court ruled on, and the Supreme Court ruled that corporations have the same rights as people, and that when corporations spend their millions upon millions of dollars for ads during an election against or for a particular candidate, then that is them exercising their free speech. Right? And so, because of that, hey, Lisa, so because of that, it opened the floodgates to all of these different super PACs being created. They operate outside of the normal campaign finance laws that apply to regular political PACs, okay? And then they can spend a ton of money for the candidate of their choice or against the candidate of their other choice, and they never have to donate that money to the candidate's campaign. So I want to give you a prime example of how this happens. So there was a PAC, and I'm going to grab the name of it for you. Okay, so there was a political action committee that was formed in 2024. And I want you all to I want you to understand how campaign finance laws actually can be so horrific and why they need to be overhauled, okay? And this might be a new one for some of you. For those of you guys that have been with me for a long time, you probably remember me talking about this. But for those of you who didn't, this is a great time to talk about it. So do you think that someone should be able to form an LLC in the last quarter of the year, within the last 4 to 6 weeks before an election, use that LLC to form a political action committee, okay, receive $20.5 million in the last quarter of the year, run a bunch of political ads, and have the name of their political action committee sound as if it is left-leaning, okay? Spend $20 million specifically targeting liberal white women who might agree with this position. And then as soon as the election is over, dissolve the political action committee, dissolve the LLC, and then and only then have to report where the money came from. Because the way that campaign finance and election finance reporting goes is you don't have to report the money until the end of the quarter. So if you get money in October for a political PAC, it doesn't have to be reported until the end of that quarter. So by that time, the election's over and nobody's the wiser. So let me tell you what happened. In October, in the middle of October in 2024, a woman created an LLC, and then she created a political action PAC. The political action PAC was named RBG PAC. And it was named RBG PAC to give the impression that it was liberal leaning, and that it advocated for women's rights, because RBG is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right? The deceased Supreme Court justice. And RBG PAC received $20.5 million in a donation. And they spent all of that money on social media ads, specifically targeting liberal white women in swing states, with clips of Donald Trump saying that he would not federally ban abortion. Okay. The ads claimed that Trump's views on abortion and Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's views were aligned. Okay. That PAC was funded by, that's the only money that PAC received. That's the only money that PAC received, was that $20.5 million donation. And it turns out that $20.5 million donation came from Elon Musk's revocable trust. That's where it came from. It came from Elon Musk's revocable trust. And then by the time it was required for the information to be reported as to where the money came from, the PAC was already dissolved. It was already a done deal, and the impact was what it was. So I think it's important, and I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. This is the problem with campaign finance laws. This is the problem. And you all, it has been since, it's been a long time now. But if you don't understand, so, and I know that you may or you may not have the subscription to watch it. But if you don't, I would recommend renting it so that you can watch it. There's a documentary that came out in 2020 called After Truth, Disinformation and the Cost of Fake News. And there were well-known Republican operatives, if you will, who are on camera talking about the fact that they are lying, talking about the fact that they are, I think it should be required to watch as well, but talking about the fact that they know they are spreading misinformation. They know they are lying to the public, and they are saying, well, we're going to do it first before the Democrats do it. It's called After Truth, Disinformation and the Cost of Fake News. And I believe everyone should watch it. Now, we've reached a point now where there are some Democrats that are like, fuck it, we will play the same game. And then there are people that are mad because there are some Democrats now saying we'll play the same game. So do you play the same game or do you not? Because this documentary came out in 2020. It was formed way before that. It was formed after the very first Trump campaign. This documentary was filmed after the very first Trump campaign during Trump's first term. And Jack Berkman and some other individuals are on here, and I've watched it. And I watched Jack Berkman look dead at the camera and say, yep, I'm lying. HBO Max, Granny. If I'm not mistaken, though, you can also rent it. So you find yourself in this dilemma when people say, oh, well, Dems are doing it too. Well, should they? Because I've heard lots of people say Democrats need to play by the same fucking rules Republicans are. They don't care to do dirty shit. Dems should do dirty shit too. Should you do dirty shit or not? Now, here's my thing. If you simply get rid of the gaps in our campaign finance legislation and our policies that allows this behavior, then you don't have to worry about whether Republicans or Dems do it. Right? If you simply eliminate this mechanism, so listen, I'm not answering that question. I'm just posing that question to you. I believe the quickest solution is to get rid of super PACs and dark money in politics. Now, let me just say this. I would be perfectly okay, and this is me speaking, I would be perfectly okay with a company forming a political action committee and there being $50 million thrown to that committee to target specific communities and specific swing states with accurate information, right? I would be perfectly fine with that. Even if it didn't get reported until afterwards, because I think that that's what you got to do right now to level the playing field. Until we get to the place where the country is stable, democratic, constitutional republic, and then get all the dark money out of it. How long would what take? Solvi, can you share with me where you're located before I bring you up to the panel? I'm just not familiar with you, and it's not time for the Pally panel yet, so I don't want to bring people up prematurely. Appreciate you. So if you could share that with me. Yeah, so I'm just saying, when we talk about how we get to this place where we can have really effective campaign finance change, and I don't even like to use the word reform. It's just like a buzz line for me, right? I think we should say, how can we get to the place where we have ethical campaign finance laws? And how about we establish an independent committee? I got you, just me. How about we create an independent committee that actually writes what the ethics rules are for our members of Congress, instead of having our members of Congress write their own ethics rules? How about there be an independent ethics committee that isn't made up of other members of Congress? How about we do that? Instead of saying, let's have campaign finance reform, How about let's just say, let's establish ethical campaign finance laws? So like, I don't know. So here goes my brain just kind of riffing a little bit, right? But wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing if you set no more money, more money could not be spent on elections in a state than that state received in SNAP benefits and Medicaid funding? Wouldn't that be something? What if you said, listen, a state can't have more money spent in its political elections than it receives or it gives in aid to the people? What if there was a way to cap it? I don't even know that that's a thing, right? But what if there was a way to cap it and say, listen, there cannot be more money spent in this state's election than we received in SNAP money, Medicaid money, whatever it is, TNAF, temporary assistance for needy families, housing assistance, whatever it is. I'm just saying, this is the way my brain thinks. I want to, because one of the things that I think would be helpful, okay, is one of the things that I think that does is it brings to the attention of everyone just how much money is being spent in politics versus just how little money is being put to work for the people. I think we know it, how much money, but we don't actually know it. Does that make sense? Because it's hard to fathom, right? Just me, you wanted to say something?
Yes. Regarding the big the money in politics, how do you tell someone? Okay, like I was in another live, just listening, and these are people that I'm, like I've been listening to for over a year or whatever, and most of them are Democrats, but then you still have the people who think differently, which that's okay. We all have our opinions. But when you talk about this big money and politics, some of them are reluctant to not get that money out of there, because then they say, like, then if we get the big money out of them being able to put it towards our candidates, then how are you going to fight against like the Republicans that are getting that big money or whatever?
But here's the thing. We did it. We did it before 2010. Citizens United was a court case that did not exist until 2010. We figured out how to run elections and be competitive in elections before 2010. On both sides of the aisle, and we can do it again. Super PAC money, and I don't know if you all remember this, okay? But Barack Obama told everybody that this Citizens United decision was going to be horrific for our elections and for politics. And he went on to talk about the way that it opens the door for foreign interference. Do you all remember him talking about this at all?
No, I don't remember. I'm sure I know, yeah, but I don't remember. I'm sure
so I'll share with you how that works. So I want you to think about the massive corporations in the United States of America and how many of them are partially owned by or have large foreign investors in those corporations. So the money that gets funneled through those corporations into those super PACs and into that dark money oftentimes is tied to foreign governments with their own interests. And he talked about this. Let me see if I can find the clip really quickly. Yep, this is it. So it's actually in the National Archives. I love that. Yay me. And so this is part of, okay, so can I just share this with you all for a minute? Hold tight for me, just me and Birdie. So President Obama gave a speech. This is dated July the 26th of 2010. And this is on the Obama White House archives.gov. And so his statement was, quote, imagine the power this will give special interests over politicians. And so he laid out the stakes in no uncertain terms. So I don't know if people know this or not, but there was actually a Senate vote on July the 27th that there was actually legislation proposed to undo some of the damage from Citizens United's court decision. It's wild to me. And so the act was called the Disclose Act, DISCLOSE. If you're not familiar with the Disclose Act, put a 1 in the chat. What's up, Marilyn? If you're not familiar with the Disclose Act, put a 1 in the chat. Okay, so this was a vote that was taken July 27th, 2010, and the goal was to undo the harm based on the Citizens United decision by the Supreme Court. And so I am going to share with you what he said. This was at 2:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Rose Garden. And no, I'm not going to do an Obama impersonation because I would suck. But here we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Tomorrow, there's going to be a very important vote in the Senate about how much influence special interests should have on our democracy. Because of the Supreme Court's decision earlier this year in the Citizens United case, big corporations, even foreign-controlled ones, are now allowed to spend unlimited amounts of money on American elections. They can buy millions of dollars worth of TV ads. And worst of all, they don't even have to reveal who's actually paying for the ads. Instead, a group can hide behind a name like, quote, Citizens for a Better Future. Even if a more accurate name would be, quote, Companies for Weaker Oversight. These shadow groups are already forming and building war chests of tens of millions of dollars to influence the fall elections. Now, imagine the power this will give special interests over politicians. Corporate lobbyists will be able to tell members of Congress if they don't vote the right way, they will face an onslaught of negative ads in their next campaign. And all too often, no one will actually know who's really behind those ads. So the House has already passed a bipartisan bill that would change all this before the next election. The Disclose Act would simply require corporate political advertisers to reveal who's funding their activities. So when special interests take to the airwaves, whoever is running and funding the ad would have to appear in the advertisement and take responsibility for it, like a company's CEO or the organization's biggest contributor. And foreign-controlled corporations and entities would be restricted from spending money to influence American elections, just as they were in the past. Now, you'd think that making these reforms would be a matter of common sense, particularly since they primarily involve just making sure that folks who are financing these ads are disclosed so that the American people can make up their own minds. Nobody is saying you can't run the ads. Just make sure that people know who, in fact, is behind financing these ads. And you'd think that reducing corporate and even foreign influence over our elections would not be a partisan issue. But of course, this is Washington in 2010. And the Republican leadership in the Senate is once again using every tactic and every maneuver they can to prevent the Disclose Act from even coming up for an up or down vote. Just like they did with unemployment insurance for Americans who'd lost their jobs in this recession. Just like they're doing by blocking tax credits and lending assistance for small business owners. on issue after issue. We are trying to move America forward, and they keep on trying to take us back. At a time of such challenge for America, we can't afford these political games. Millions of Americans are struggling to get by, and their voices shouldn't be drowned out by millions of dollars in secret special interest advertising. The American people's voices should be heard. A vote to oppose these reforms is nothing less than a vote to allow corporate and special interest takeovers of our elections. It is damaging to our democracy. It is precisely what led a Republican president named Theodore Roosevelt to tackle this issue a century ago. Back then, President Roosevelt warned of the dangers of limitless corporate spending in our political system. He actually called it, quote, one of the principal sources of corruption in our political affairs, end quote. And he proposed strict limits on corporate influence in elections, not because he was opposed to them expressing their views in the halls of democracy, but he didn't want everybody else being drowned out. He said, quote, every special interest is entitled to justice, but no one is entitled, not one is entitled to a vote in Congress or a voice on the bench or to representation in any public office, end quote. Because he understood those weren't individual voters. These are amalgams, am I saying that right? Amalgams of special interest. They have the right to hire their lobbyists. They have the right to put forward their view. They even have the right to advertise. But the least we should be able to do is know who they are. So on Tuesday, we face the sort of challenge that Teddy Roosevelt talked about over a century ago. We've got a similar opportunity to prevent special interests from gaining even more clout in Washington. This should not be a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. This is an issue that goes to whether or not we're going to have a government that works for ordinary Americans, a government of, by, and for the people. That's why these reforms are so important, and that's why I urge the Senate to pass the Disclose Act. Thank you. That is the speech from President Barack Obama 15 years ago.
I miss him.
And what's crazy is he outlined what was going to happen, but I don't even know if he knew to the degree that we would get right now in this country. So you know what I think we should do? Do y'all know the Disclose Act has come up? Jesus. The Disclose Act, there was a version of this bill introduced last year. It was introduced by Representative Chris Pappas, a Democrat from New Hampshire. And it never went anywhere. It was just simply introduced. And it's called Disclose. And what it stands for is democracy is strengthened by casting light on the Spending and Elections Act of 2026, or the Disclose Act of 2026. It was introduced this year. Sorry, not last year. It was introduced this year on March 4th, 2026.
Dani, earlier you were talking about I mentioned movie night. Which one it was anymore, but anyways, I'll send it to you, I guess, if I remember. Actually, I'm gonna go back and watch this live again later on tonight because I want to take notes on some stuff.
Okay.
But if I could suggest, if you would be able to maybe do an educational video on this subject that we just discussed.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Thank you for your time. My phone's about to die.
Yeah, no worries. Appreciate you. Yes, baby girl.
Bye bye.
What you want? You want snack? You want me to warm you up some orange chicken? What you want? Okay, girl, I got you. Um, okay, I'm gonna go to Birdie real quick.
Yeah, I jumped up because you were speaking my language as far as the amount of money we get right during the campaign season, and then when you look at like some state budgets for SNAP and think that's overseas what we're getting to feed people, they're spending that on campaign ads, and now I think right now this midterm cycle we have a chance to show all of these PACs that their money don't matter because of the lack of policy initiatives that haven't been done, haven't been carried through, and the amount of things that this president or this administration has taken away from the people that was already allocated to the people. So we don't need a bunch of money. We just need to look at the fact that this man is literally destroying the country. So we know what it is. I don't care. They spend $1 trillion on ads. It can't manipulate us to vote for them.
Right.
You get where I'm coming from? So we need to show them that your money don't matter no more. It's about to be policy. We don't care how much ads. You can flood us with ads. We don't believe you. Yeah. We know the truth because we're feeling it in our wallet. We're seeing it in a lack of, in our communities. We're seeing it with our old folks can't get medication and proper food. We see it. So we don't care about your ads. So I think this is a chance for us to show all of this, this money that's pumped in that y'all don't need to spend that kind of money. You get where I'm coming from?
Yep, 100%.
So I just wanted to come up to tell them that. Yeah, the people, everybody listen, we're at 96 days until midterm.
95.
96, 97?
95 today.
Days. We know what's going on. We don't care if they spend $1 trillion. Spend it. We're voting progressive. That's it. You get what I'm saying? So waste your money. We're going to show you that your money don't matter. And that's how we're supposed to move forward. We don't need fancy ads. We need to see policy. And that's why I say everybody needs to be politically engaged, politically inclined, so we won't get tricked again with this foolishness. Because what we lost from the Biden-Harris administration, we lost a lot because we didn't know. And I mean, I knew, you knew, a lot of, the people inclined knew what was on the table. But a lot of people didn't. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to come up to say, I appreciate you.
I agree with you 100%. So let me ask you this, Birdie. So, and I'm imagining that you did, but under the Biden-Harris administration, were you a visitor to the invest.gov website?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. I still haven't pulled up.
But I was.
Go ahead.
Inflation Reduction Act.
So listen.
I was aware of the Inflation Reduction Act and what it was doing for my state.
Okay, I got you. So listen, here's what I love that I haven't pulled up in the archives because on invest.gov, it actually showed you could go to your specific state. You could pull up your specific state's I'll show you. I have it pulled up right now.
Dani, yes, Dani. We went over that already. We went over West Virginia. Yeah. I'm thinking you talk about it. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm aware of the program you created. Yes.
No. I'm not talking about that. So that's Project for the People. I'm actually talking about. So let me show you. So
please show.
Bill, be quiet. Okay. So let me show you really quickly. Because this is what made me really upset with Democrats in 2024. You don't know about it. A lot of people didn't know about it. Oh my God. Okay. So listen. So y'all, this is what I believe the Democratic Party should have been running on in 2024, not how horrible Donald Trump was. And whatever, because let me show you. Where's my other browser? There y'all are. Okay, y'all. You ready? Here we go. Okay, so the Biden-Harris administration had a website called invest.gov. And on invest.gov, you could click and it would show you all of the states and it would show you what was going to be happening in those states as a result of the Infrastructure Act, the Chips and Science Act, like all of the different things that got passed. And this is what they should have run on, my friend. And this is that I have it pulled up on the archive. So every White House's website is archived. Okay. So if I show you, if I pull up North Carolina, this is it. So as of December 2024, Under the Biden-Harris administration, North Carolina added over 200,000 new jobs, and they unleashed nearly $49 billion in private sector investment in the state. The state had significant decrease in unemployment. Millions of people stand to benefit from the president's action to lower health care, energy, and education costs. And then it breaks it down. And it shows you how many people got insurance through the marketplace. It shows you how much student debt was canceled for 70,000 people, almost 71,000 people. It talks about the 2.2 million seniors and other Medicare beneficiaries that will save on prescription drugs. So you see the investment in manufacturing and clean energy, unemployment rate, the public investments, but then it's very specific. So like this one, with the support of funding from the CHIPS and Science Act, Wolfspeed is investing $5 billion in a semiconductor materials plant in Chatham County, right? It will create 2,000 manufacturing jobs and 3,000 construction jobs. So like for me, when I look at this, and remember, this is for every state, they did this. I think the Democratic Party should have taken these states, right? And they should have created ads around all of these bullet points, and they should have run those ads in those states, in those counties, in those districts, and ran on that information. I talked about it in 2024 so much, but I was new to TikTok at the time. So like I was starting to get a little following on here, but I just started going live on TikTok in July of 2024. So I didn't have the following that everybody else had. But we talked about it as much as we could. But so one of the things that I want to do, and this is the reason why it's still pulled up in a browser, is take this information and be able to show, because we know that a lot of this was undone under this current administration, right? So now to be able to go back. So Bertie, we had a meeting last night for Project for the People, okay? And what I asked for last night was for people to volunteer to be like my state captains. And so what I would love for these folks to be able to do is to divide it up. And so let's just say that we've got, I don't even know how many people we have in North Carolina now. It's approaching 100 people in about 35 to 37 counties in the state of North Carolina, which is pretty awesome because North Carolina only has 100 counties, right? So imagine if you get people in North Carolina and then all across the board in all of these states to look at this, and you have somebody call the county of Chatham County, North Carolina, and ask, is this still happening, right? Is Wolfspeed still investing the $5 billion in semiconductor materials plants in Chatham County? Or did that go away, right? And imagine being able to show people what has been lost, because that's the thing. People know their pocketbooks are hurting, but then this administration just says, oh, well, it's because we're at war. And it's because of those awful brown people in the Middle East, right? It's a different thing to be able to show this is what you had, and this is what you had coming. And this is what went away because Doge killed it, or because he repealed this and he repealed the funding for that, and those types of things. Am I making sense?
Yes, Danny, 100% sense, because that's what I focus on, what we lost. Because like I said, I was a part of the rollout for the Inflation Reduction Act in my state. Mm-hmm. I was putting young men and women on roofs to put up those photovoltaic, systems to where people could get, energy from the sunlight. I was doing that. So I knew how much money was being allocated to my state, and I know how many jobs were being produced in the state. And I know for a fact that Donald Trump and this administration literally tore it down and called it all DEI. I know about the money that was sent down to Alabama to put in septic tanks in the systems in Alabama and Loudoun County, Alabama, that he took away, calling it DEI. So I know about these things. So that's what I want to focus on when I talk to people, is about what we lost from the potential Harris administration. So yes, I'm aware of that. And you're right. They should have ran on that.
And so the position that the framing for that in 2026 is, this is what we lost because we don't have a Congress that was willing to stand up and fight for what it voted for. Congress passed these things, right? And so, Bertie, this is where I think the smart thing to do would be to talk about the fact that Congress said yes to these things under the Biden-Harris administration for the benefit of the people. So what changed? What changed? Did Congress all of a sudden believe that people didn't need these jobs, right? Did Congress all of a sudden believe that people didn't need this help, or they shouldn't get this debt cancellation, or we shouldn't invest in this particular county or this particular business, right? What changed? And so this is the thing that I think would be the framing for 2026 is that conversation, because this is where the majority of our issues come from, is a Congress that is not a separate but equal branch of government, and the cost of that and the impact on people because of it. And so that's where I think we've got to be focusing when it comes to the midterms.
I agree. I'm 100% behind that. I love to speak about what we lost and what we could have had, because I've seen, like I said, I'm in West Virginia, so I understand about the weatherization programs, the programs that was going to literally give people new windows. The money was there. The money was allocated, and he came in, and a lot of people did get the help, and it also froze up money that other people could, a lot of people did, who's on wait list didn't get. And I saw a lot of companies close as well because they wasn't getting the funding that they needed to maintain, the industry growing or whatever. These growing weatherization industries. So I know about what we lost. So I like to focus on that. I don't really talk too much about how bad Trump is. I try to show him what he took away from us. You know what I mean? And you're right. They should have ran on what they had on the table.
100%.
How bad he was.
So, True Engine, you've been asked by my moderators several times already to not type in all caps. So this is your last request. All caps in this room are reserved because I have individuals that are vision impaired, right? And so you will either respect people with disabilities and do what my mods say, or you'll be blocked from my live. And I don't really care which way. Okay. Yeah, Cam, when you say move it, what do you mean? Do it again? Is that what you mean? Yeah, I didn't get to the reading. I know I didn't. So, Bertie, have you ever been in here on a Friday when we do? Yes, Cam, we should. When we do our Pally panels, do you know what our Pally panels are, Bertie?
No, ma'am, I don't.
So we have folks that we have come to know and love and adore that are in Palestine. Most of them in Gaza, a few in the West Bank, and so, as you know, 80% of the country is displaced. They don't have jobs that they can get, and so the ways that they are able to sustain themselves, many of them, is with TikTok coins. Even though TikTok takes half, they do, right? So what they're able to do is take the coins, they're able to convert them into crypto, and then they're able to use them to get the things that they need. Let me also say this. For all of them, many of them, you should check their bios, because oftentimes their bios will have links where you can directly support them. Yeah, either that, camera, I just stay on longer. I haven't decided yet. But that's what we do. So if you have the ability, this is an opportunity for you to be able to help those individuals. And one of the things, so Abu Siraj was on earlier the other day, and earlier in this live, for those of you all who missed it, I outlined a lot of what's happening in the West Bank, and a lot of what is still happening in Gaza. I talked about this supposed new draft deal that's just horseshit, because Israel is not behind it, and Ben Gvir has said so. I do need to look at that. Holy geez. So that's what it is, and so that's what this is today.
I've never been involved in that. That's definitely needed. I actually help a guy from Syria all the time. He comes into every live I'm in, and they're like, Betty, and we all give him coins and stuff. But he shows us videos of the fact that he's living in a tent in 100-something degree weather, and he got some beautiful little babies that he take care of. So we always give him money on that level. But no, I've never been on the Pally.
Yeah, we do Syrians too, and we did a fundraiser. Kobe was with me one day. We did a fundraiser for somebody that was going to the Congo, to an orphanage there. A Money will help me run the panel because in a minute, yes, we can do a Black as Fuck Saturday instead of Black as Fuck Friday today. Yes, we can. Listen, A Money, when you come up, if you could do me a favor and let them know that I'm going to keep talking just to kind of keep the algorithm flowing, and for them to not fill the chat with Arabic writing. Wait. Nope, don't do that. Don't use that for Abu Saraj. So here's the problem, y'all. I need I need my old laptop. Can somebody somebody I don't know if you all know it. Can somebody message Abu Saraj and send me his new link? Because I don't have WhatsApp on this computer, and I need to be able to put that new link for him in my Pally link. So in my link tree, folks, I have a whole section. Cool. Amani, can you send it to me? Angel, you about made me say something mean to you, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to block you instead. I started to say yo mama. I don't say things like that to people. What happened? Okay, so before I open up this panel, Cheryl, you want to go ahead and say what you want to say, and then, hey, Money, where you at so I can add you to this damn panel, please. Cheryl, do you know you're on the panel?
I have no idea
I got you.
how I got up here.
I got you. No worries.
All right, thanks.
Okay, appreciate you. I got y'all. I got you. Okay, so now I can update his link. Okay. Yeah. I try not to be. I don't say wild and crazy things and mean things to people, but that joker almost got it. He almost got it. I got you, Jay Bird. No worries, folks. This is your time if you want to be helpful to recharge them coins and do what you do. I'm gonna update this link in my link tree real quick for Abu Saraj. And for those of you guys who are not on TikTok and you want to be helpful, you can do that too. Appreciate you, Brandy. All you got to do is head on over to my link tree, and in my link tree, there is the second collection of links that are in that link tree. It says Palestinian support links. Those are people that we know personally, and who need help and assistance, and the links to be able to help them are in there. Okay, just so everyone knows. Okay, and speaking of that, I haven't seen Mohammed OS. Has anybody else seen him? Okay. I'm going to say Abu Saraj. Okay, that's there. All right, folks, that's updated. So let's rock and roll. I'm gonna keep doing what we do. So A Money, if you want to let the people know, that would be amazing. And also A Money, because we did hey sis, we did Abu Saraj earlier this week, and we also had Raja up one day, I believe, but I know for sure we did Abu Saraj. So people may not have as much today, but people are going to do the best. So
you guys always do the best, to be honest.
I know, but I'm just saying. I know sometimes my folks, can really do amazing, and I just want to make sure that the expectation isn't something. Because
okay, what do you want from me right now? What do you need me to do? Right
no
now?
Arabic in the chat.
Okay.
They can greet, but yep, 1.5K is going to be the goal.
1.5K.
Yep, 1.5K, and we'll get to as many people as we can. So,
okay.
hey, Papa, stop spamming my damn chat, please, and read the room. Okay, go ahead, Amoni.
Okay.
Oh, and don't tag the mods, yeah.
don't tag the mods. السلام عليكم يا أهل غزة. لو سمحتوا تكتبوش عربي في الشات ولا راح يحطوا ميوت عليكم إذا بترفع إذا إحنا بنرفعوكم بقدر تحكوا سلام بس بدها تبلش تحكي عن أمريكا وبدها تضلها تحكي عشان الفيورز يرفع والناس بيجي يساعدكم والجول اليوم 1.5K. أوكي شكرا. also اكتبوش يا المودز في الكومنتات كمان. Okay, now شكرا.
Yeah, don't tag my mods. I got that one. I got that one, girl.
I'm dead.
I'm just saying. I tend to, I can get a little bit. Okay.
She's catching up, y'all. She's catching up.
Listen, I need to get back on it, but it ain't right now. Okay. So, so we're good. And, so how about this, A-Money? How about I do the first round and then you take over after the first ones that I do?
Yeah, no, because that's all I was gonna do your people.
Yes.
The ones you have a relationship with.
Yeah, I know. Because there are also some folks that I know that haven't been up in a minute, and that have had some issues. And so what I'm going to do really quickly, while A-Money, you can go ahead and bring them up. What I'm going to do, you guys, is I'm going to share what I know about some of the folks that are coming up right now. And then I'm going to continue to talk about some of the other issues and some of the American news that's happening so that TikTok stays friendly for us and all the things that we are doing. Alaikum salam. So, guys, the first person that's on the panel is Allah Shak Shak. Allah Shak Shak was a journalist for in Gaza and who also has a significant heart condition. And he literally needs to get out of Gaza for medical treatment, which is not an easy thing to accomplish. There are people that are being limited from being able to get out of Gaza. And then the other thing about that is if they do get out, the question is, will they be able to get back in? And there's no Salam Wasim. Alhamdulillah. And so you just don't know. We've got other people that we know that have left Gaza. And you just don't know when and if you're going to see them again because you don't know if they're going to get back in. So that's Allah Shak Shak, who's right here. He's also a dad and a granddad and a husband and all the things. But like I said, significant heart condition. I don't know how he dropped. He wasn't at 1.5K, so he shouldn't have dropped, but he did. So this is Wasim. I don't want him to show the photos right now, but he has shared the photos with us and we have seen the photos. Wasim has been hit 3 separate occasions during the Jihad in Gaza over the last 3 years. I literally have seen the pictures of him stitched up and all the things. He just went to the doctor earlier this week because of his back and things like that. So there are significant issues that many of them encounter. So Salam Hamza. So that's who Hasim is. He also has some kiddos. And that sort of thing. But so Wasim is normally the guy that goes, Dani, big bucks, Dani. 1 minute, Dani. 1 minute. Hey, and
Dani, big bucks, Dani, chicken, Dani.
Yes, that's what he does.
I love you, Dani. Wallah, I love you.
I love you, Wasim. So he has shway English. I have shway Arabic. But yeah, so that's what we do. Salam Noor. So Noor is also a Palestinian journalist in Gaza who also has some beautiful kiddos and all the things and needs help and assistance. And so, A-Money, is this the Hamza who lost his kiddos?
No, that's
Hatem. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for so. It's crazy that I have to ask that question, but there's actually one of the folks who's lost all of his children except for one, and that one's in the hospital now. So we're finishing. Oh, okay. So Radwan also has several beautiful kiddos. Alaikum salam. You will probably see his kiddos get that he may share them with you. He may not. Alaikum salam, Anwar. Good to see you as well. Okay. So, thank you. So this is, even though it says Sophia in Gaza, this is actually Amal. One of her two daughters is named Sophia. So Amal, does everybody know now? Is it okay to talk about it or no?
Yes, you can talk about that. She's pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah,
I knew before
So all of the people above me?
yeah, all of the people above A Money. All of the people above A Money. And so Amal right here, she has,
gotcha.
yep. So she has two little girls, and she is also currently pregnant. If you weren't in here yesterday, I read a report from the UN. The maternal mortality rate in Gaza has gone through the roof as a result of this G-side. And there's been a significant increase in miscarriages as well. I don't know if you missed that, but the UN has a report on it.
I didn't miss it. Let me brief you. I won't take much time, but as someone who goes sometimes twice a month to the doctor, to the clinic, to many clinics due to my heart health situation, I've been witnessing many miscarriages without any reason for ladies. I've been talking to many of them. Most of them has a bad health situation. They are not able to provide themselves. Imagine pregnant moms in here trying to provide for their families, taking care of their babies, and have a healthy pregnancy. Most of them, unfortunately, were not able to keep their pregnancy and lost their babies due to what was going on. Me, myself, I had to take injections for more than 2 months, and after that, I thought I said good. And then I figured out,
Salam, Dani.
I figured
Salam,
out
Hussein.
that I have a severe
second,
anemia.
guys.
I had my blood only on 7. So I've been taking meds for now.
Hey, Hassan.
So it
Yeah.
is very bad for moms in here. Wallah, no matter how many reports you're gonna read, when you see their situations and how just struggling to provide the simple food, even the meds are hard to get in here. So keep your prayers, and thank you, Dani, for mentioning this. This is very important
Yeah,
for us to know that those things are being mentioned and you will know what's happening.
Yeah, we talked about it at length yesterday. A lot of the moms a lot of the women are dealing with significant anemia issues and things like that. So the miscarriage rates are up, and so is the maternal mortality rate. Hussein is the box that is above Amal, and I want to take a second to talk about Hussein because he never talks about himself unless I ask him, and he's just always very gracious and very humble. He has cancer, and he has a tumor that is in his neck that is like the size of a lemon almost, and it looks like another one is starting to grow because the ability to get treatment is damn near non-existent. So that's Hussein. Hassan is what we would consider here in the U.S. like an EMS kind of worker. You can see the ambulance behind him, and so that is the work that he does, which we all know is critical in Gaza and also extremely dangerous in Gaza. Nahid is the box above him. She is a widow. Her husband was martyred during the G-side, and so she now takes care of their children. I believe she has 4 children, all on her own as well. The box above her is Anas. This is Mo's brother. So Mo is, I don't think we've had Mo on the panel just yet, but Mo is a recent high school graduate who has applied for university, been accepted. He graduated high school in the middle of a G-side with a 90.3%. And this is his brother Anas, who also helps him and Amal. They are all part of the same family. And so incredible individuals. One of the things that Mo and Anas do together is they help get supplies for the kids. They help take chicken around and food around to some of the other families. This is one of the things that I will say that I have seen in the Palestinian people ever since I've known them for the last year. Is thank you for cutting them damn comments. They are a people that absolutely helps take care of each other. It's rare to see, and I'm not saying there's not any, because there are, but the majority of the people, like right now, if somebody was on and they were getting just a slew of coins, I've gotten a message before that says, drop me so other people can get help. Drop me, Dani, so other people can get help. And this is a, hey, Raja, these are things that I continue to see in the Palestinian people, because they understand that everybody needs help.
In the comments. Put me
Put
down
you,
in the,
I got you, Birdie.
put me down in the comments. Yeah, so somebody else could get up there and then I could get from the comments.
Okay, got you. Thanks, Birdie. And so this is
you guys. Much love to you, Dan. It's good to be here.
right back at you, Mo. So this is Mo. He got his letter of acceptance for university, his email, but he's still waiting to know when his interview is going to happen. This is Zena. She is also in Gaza. She helps me out sometimes with translation because she speaks great English and is just an incredible human being as well. We've actually had some of my community that was on one of her lives when an Israeli strike happened, like literally while she was live. So these are things that we know to be true firsthand, relationships and people that we know and that we care about and all of that. So the goal for everybody, in case you didn't hear at the beginning, is to hit 1.5K. That's not nearly enough. To give you an idea, it takes about 4,000 coins, TikTok coins, to be able to get a chicken. To be able to do like one meal with just rice and chicken, you need about 6,000 coins. And that's not always the case because the prices fluctuate so much because the aid trucks aren't being let in the way that they need to be let in. And many of the trucks that are coming in are commercial trucks. And it's for the rich people that sell the products to the rest of the 80% that are displaced and that don't have the means and the availability to do that. So I just want you to kind of imagine that these were the circumstances that you and your loved ones were in, because this is what they deal with on a regular basis. So oftentimes if you see folks and they're in one live, it's because one live them might be able to pick up 1,000 coins, but they might have to go to 5 or 6 others to be able to get any more. And so that goal, just to literally just to be able to get one meal, is that. And to give you an idea, folks, in the TikTok world, if you go to buy coins, if you're going to buy 2,000 coins, that's $20, right? A little more than $20. So for us, you're looking at $60 worth of donations, $60, $70 in American US dollar donations via TikTok coins to be able to help them to get anything. Not all of them have direct links. Those that do, that is the best way to help, because obviously TikTok takes half the coins. Always check their bios because their bios will oftentimes have an LINK that you can use to be able to directly support. I don't know absolutely everybody that comes up. Many of them I do. Rasha, no, you're not. Absolutely not. You're not mad at me. I know better. I want to make sure, money too, that we get Wadmi.
Yeah, someone to bring her up instead of this one.
Thank you. And so Wadmi is in the West Bank. So I wanted to ask her specifically how is she? Because I know things are escalating really bad.
So much for talking about politics.
I know, girl. It's okay. Wadmi. Alaikum salam. Keep halak, sis.
Alhamdulillah, Dani, how are you?
I'm okay. I know things are getting really, really rough in the West Bank.
Yeah, and my health too. It's good.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. I'm looking for him.
شخبارك عزيز الله يسعدك يا رب.
Yeah.
سمعت هناك داني.
داني كيف حالك داني؟ السلام عليكم.
Alhamdulillah. Alaikum salam. What happened?
How are you, sister Dani?
Bella, what happened? Okay, listen, if you girls hit each other again, hey.
Mama's hitting me. How are your sister and brother? I heard they were in the hospital before couple of weeks.
Okay, I got you. Give me 1 second. So my brother's had a procedure and he's going to have another one. And then we're waiting on my mom to have some additional tests as well. So yeah, I appreciate you asking. Shukran. Alaikum salam. Appreciate you. All of the folks that are being brought up, A Money knows all of them. Some of them I know in addition, like Abu Samir, I know. Oops, we got to mute. So, folks, this is where TikTok sometimes will drop the numbers down. So, commenting, liking, sharing, all of that is incredibly helpful during this time when we're helping out. Alaikum salam. Hey, Abu Samir.
No, هلا داني.
Hella, Raja. Got a little attitude.
No.
Oh, shukran and bees.
No.
Yes. He's giving me shit because Raja came in and
No.
and he was saying hella Danny.
أماني
نعم
أماني أنا كنت بدي بس أشوفها وأسلم عليها وما طلعتني من البداية غير بعت لها قلت لها أنا زعلان.
أصلا أنا رفعتك وش
شو؟
أنا رفعتك.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم
ما
السلام.
طلعتين أنتِ؟
سلامات يا رجاء، كيف حالك؟
يعني داني براءة يعني.
يا رجاء كيف حالك؟
داني براءة.
You guys, A Money is in the States and she's helping me run the panel. Just so you all know, A Money is in the States. She's Palestinian American, but she's helping me run the panel. So she's not in Pali and she's not in Gaza. The West Bank or Gaza, but just wanted you to know. Okay, girl, the whole strip is in this damn thing now. I appreciate you because you are handling it. Okay, so I know, Danikins, I know that I need to create a sticker for this, but I haven't yet. So can Danikins give me an idea of like where we are and how many more we can do? That would be amazing. That way I know.
How many more you do?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. So I know that this part you guys don't get to see, and I normally shut you all down during this part, but I didn't want to just shut it down because sometimes it's helpful for you all to hear some of the conversation. It is evening time over there. What time is it, A Money? 8:30, I want to say, in Gaza.
8:30.
It's 8:30 in Gaza, 8:30 p.m. on a Friday evening. I appreciate everybody that has contributed coins and all of that. Here's what I want to do really quickly while we Raja is a fool. You just wait. If I had my computer over here and I could get on my WhatsApp, I would, but I don't. I haven't put it on this computer yet. Okay. So listen, you guys, very quickly, while we do this last bit, I want to talk about Project for the People really quickly. So one of the things that I believe, and this is what Bertie and I were just talking to prior to us running this Pally panel, is we have 95 days until the midterms in the United States of America. So whether you care about healthcare and SNAP benefits and Medicare and Medicaid in the United States of America, whether you care about the United States of America needing to stop funding Israel, whether you care about what's happening in Sudan and Haiti and Congo and Cuba, whether you care about immigration here in the United States of America and the deportation, whether you care about flock cameras, right? And the crazy and the crazy level of surveillance that is happening in the United States of America, and the desire for this Congress to heavily integrate the United States military with the Israeli military, whatever it is, there are plenty of reasons for you to be involved in these midterms. Having conversations with the people that you know, having conversations with people that you don't know, getting out into your community and sharing information so that people can become accurately informed, so that we can choose people and put people in office that are willing to do what's in the best interest of working class people. That is something that is missing. We have a Senate and a Congress that is complicit with this administration, and we have people in the cabinet that have violated their oath to the Constitution. We have people in the Senate that are not fulfilling their obligation as outlined by the Constitution, in their service to the people and in their service to the country. So Project for the People is a citizen-led movement where we are helping to get serious about winning elections. We are sharing and spreading accurate information so that people can become really well informed on what's happening and what the cost of this administration has had. The cost has been significant to many people. For some people, the cost has been their lives. For other people, the cost has been the lives of their loved ones. Alaikum salam. And so it has varied, right? And so Project for the People, our goal is to give people access to information and resources that are specific to you and your loved ones. And so one of the things that you can do is you can go to makingamericatruly.great.com. You can read what is on that page. And if it is something that interests you or that you want to know more about, or if you want access to lots of graphics and information and potential legislation initiatives, and if you want to be part of the process on how we get this country on track back to being a stable, democratic, constitutional republic, then you go to makingamericatruly.great.com. You put in your information. You will get an email from me. That email will give you access to the Google Drive. The very first thing that I would ask you to do is to go to the third folder that gives you an overview of Project for the People. There is a video in there. It is the webinar where I explain what it is. And then the last part of it is government accountability and the things that a majority progressive Congress can do immediately to impact working class and ordinary people, right? So that includes getting rid of the 10-year requirement for the ERA, the ratification for constitutional amendments. We get rid of that 10-year requirement. The ERA is added to the Constitution, and women have their equal rights protected under the Constitution, which we currently do not. I just really want to point this out to you. If you do not know this, the ERA was passed in 1973, you guys. It was supposed to have 37 states ratify it by 1983, and they did not. Alaikum salam. It took until 2020 to get 37 of America's states to ratify an amendment that says women get equal rights in the United States of America. It took until 2020. I just want you all to really sit with that. I need a money, Khalil. Gosh, I need to know. God, there's so many, Raja. Can we turn on the comments real quick just so I can see the person? Khalil / Nakata is who I need. Alaikum salam. Thanks, Cam. Cam, can you help me? I just need to find Raja's brother too. And we already got Soha, right? Money. The real Soha? I know there's a fake one too. Alaikum salam. Raja, tag him for me. Mods, I need help. What's up, Tori? Hey, Vicky. Does anybody see who we're talking about?
What's the name again?
This is why I need my WhatsApp over here. It's Raja's brother. 1 second, A-Money. Nakata. Bro. Yeah, Nakata. Tell Raja he needs to help me find his because I don't see him.
What's the name?
Nakata or
Text it to me.
okay.
First of all, there's over 100 people in your request.
I know. I'm looking. I don't see him.
Is it in English? Wait.
Raja spelled it Nakata, but I don't see that person. And at first he said Khalil. So just wait. There it was. Yep. Khalil Nakata. There it is. Khalil Nakata. Khalil and then Nakata. Thank you, Elpie. Folks, I know this is not like entertaining for you all. So here's what I'm going to do. I will come back and we will do Black as Fuck Fridays, either probably not later this evening, but we will do an early Saturday morning version of it. Okay, we will do that. And so give me some grace. Probably panels are necessary, and sometimes they just end up taking precedent over everything else that we got going on. Okay, so I love you guys, and I mean it, and I appreciate you on the YouTube, the Substack, the Twitch, the Facebook,